welcome back to this is Lieutenant Gaming 57. We've got another round 10 of Axis 1940 Pacific, with a few minor tweaks. Very small tweaks. So, that is the Australian campaign. It resulted in about 50,000 casualties overall. In game terms, that means the Japanese lost 12 infantry and the Australians lost 12 infantry and 2 AA guns. So that was pretty bad. They lost Western Australia, the British fell, and we moved our transport down, and the Musashi moved over, blasted the guys. Actually, he only got one hit. She only got one hit. He died immediately, and then the fighter killed the other guy, but the artillery got a hit on the way out, so that was unfortunate. Over here, the torpedo dive bombers from the carriers. Can you read that? That's... oh, whatever, you can't read it. IJN Kaga and IJN Soryu. I should have used a different ink, but whatever. Can't fix that right now. So, their air wings annihilated the two US destroyers. The Japanese lost one of their 2 frigates, and that frigate is the luckiest frigate in the entire world. It had just been repaired, and now it is heavily damaged again. I don't know if that's lucky, but it survived twice now, where a battleship has not, so that tells you something. I don't know what that would be, but it tells you something. There's not much else to tell you other than the fact that the French lost New Hebrides, and the British lost Fiji. Oh yeah, and they took Victoria, so that's good. That's another IPC. Also, something to note is they finished both their tech, so they now have nuclear energy, which means they can now research the bomb and nuclear weapons. And they got missiles, so they bought 8 ballistic missiles, so they can now send those and bomb the British factory to dust. So I'll get back to you at the end of the Allies' turn. I believe that this is in strict rules state that you must have 6. Japan has 1, 2, 3, 4 right now, as of taking Sydney, but they're probably going to take Calcutta. Calcutta is never going to be able to keep up with that. I mean, their empire spans 2,000 miles, or actually I don't know how much it spans. It's a long ways. So, also, a thing to note is they've got 20 infantry right here, plus a bunch of artillery, tanks, and anti-aircraft guns. So they can send that 4, and they can make it to right here. And then they can hit anything on the coast, or they can hit Calcutta from right there. Because if you haven't been watching, they have the improved naval base, so they can actually move 4 instead of 3. So that's pretty powerful. They built a military base and a minor factory right there, so they can start pumping units up into there. So now China's gonna have to guard the Burma Road. So I think that this is it. I don't think we should play anymore, because with the US gone, there's really nobody who can stand up to Japan. I mean, sure, they've got, I think, by now 8 million people on the coast, but I don't think there's anything that can be done. So, I'll play through the rest of the turn, and if it still looks bad, then we're going to call it for a Japanese victory. Okay, so the horde is extinct. They hurtled themselves upon the Japanese positions, and, well, we already know what happens if you chuck 1 million infantry at a machine gun post. So, for reference, see the Battle of Somme. Well, we've got a massive trench line of infantry all the way up the coast. So that's probably going to be very, very difficult to get through, even with the Japanese resources. But the Japanese control everything else, literally, except for the Marianas. But don't worry, we'll deal with that in a second. Oh, and the Solomon Islands. But we'll deal with that also in a second. But other than that, they've got every single territory, except for Crayon. But still, I believe that this is definitely an Axis victory. If I can take Hong Kong and Shanghai and hold them for one turn, then I win, which I can do pretty easily, actually. All I need to do is grab a bunch of transports and slam 20 infantry into there with my massive navy backing me up. Where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. So, all I need is a few rounds of 18-inch shells, and that should be it. I'm gonna call this game an Axis victory. Tell me what you think in the comments. So, the problem with the Allies is they aren't really doing anything. The Anzac weren't doing anything. They were literally doing nothing. They built a bunch of battleships, lost them all, built a bunch of infantry, lost them all, because they weren't attacking, they weren't forcing the Japanese back. Which they couldn't, because they were already forced to their homeland immediately. And same with the Indians. They were moving up, and now that they're threatened, they have to move back. And that's it. They've been moving back and forth. They branched out some infantry, moved some infantry lower so they can take this out before it grows into a threat, which they probably will. They stayed there, and they stayed there. The Chinese, as you know, cannot move out of their country, so they stayed there. So that's that. And the US have one fighter group left, so that's pretty bad for them. So thank you all for following along with this series. I hope we can someday add more to this game. My goal is to get Twilight Imperium, so please hit the like and the subscribe button if you want to see that happen. Imagine the Japanese have a space battleship and then they explode everything else. That would be really amazing. Or really any space battleship. Or actually any aliens like coming down and then they try to take over the world and the Japanese save them all. That would be really cool. But that's probably a TV show. Oh well. So, for technologies, if they get nuclear weapons, robots, space marines, lasers, I mean, the world's doomed if they get dinosaur soldiers. Well, thank you all for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button.